Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Dish with Chris. And
Just
that's
you.
it.
I'll
And
leave.
That's it.
My
Thank you,
gosh.
everybody, for coming today.
to my podcast.
I'm Chaz.
And I'm Brizzy B on the beat.
How was your day today, Brizzly B on the beat?
It was exhausting.
Really?
I was at the happiest place on earth, helping everybody with every need that they ever had.
Ben works at Walmart.
I do.
For any of those,
I'm
that
a
you know
greeter.
about. He's a greener.
I know everything about the sales. I know everything about the locations.
greets.
You say, where's this? I say, how
You're
high?
like, welcome to Walmart. I love you.
Welcome to Walmart. I love you. That's how I would greet. When I worked at Target in Minnesota, we tried greeters for a second. It was horrible because they would take the cashiers and like give them like greeter shifts where they would literally have to greet everybody for 4 hours straight. They wouldn't get breaks. It was horrible. And then I couldn't use them as cashiers, so I'd have to call back up all the time. It was a nightmare.
That's wild. That's a wild story.
Today's podcast is brought to you by this specific bottle of Essentia that the only the Casey Taylor bought for me. And right when she bought it for me, I said, that's too big. And I've been drinking it all day, and it's the perfect size. Also, this...
It's the perfect size for you.
Oh, it was bottled on January 13th of 2024. Enjoy by January 13th of 2026. Because water can expire. What did you do today, Chadwick?
What didn't I do today, Ben?
You did a lot. Tell me every single piece of food that you made today.
Evelyn and I woke up.
What?
I needed a lot of repairs done on my house today.
Yeah, you did.
So the maintenance man, Jeff,
Hefe.
no last name. I don't
El
want to,
Hefe.
snaking Jeff from me. But Jeff fixed my things for the most part. I'm getting a new washer and dryer tomorrow, which is exciting for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works, and hopefully it's not as shitty as mine are right now.
Gentle.
But we'll see.
We will
It's
see.
hard renting properties, everybody.
It is.
But, this rental company is fantastic.
Put your little belly
Dude, they're
button
so
away,
dirty,
dude.
these glasses. It's crazy.
Maybe you
I
should
can't
wash
get
them sometimes.
So he was at my house for a while. Nana did really well with him, for the most part.
She did. I heard
she did okay
great.
with him. She
Yeah.
did okay. She did as best as she could with him, and it was really nice.
That's what
She didn't
we
have to be locked
expect.
up or anything, so it was nice.
That's like crazy
That is
good.
really
Yeah.
nice. She's going to have to tomorrow. But, so we did that. They did that. Nev and I went to the gym.
What?
We did Peacock Chest Day, my favorite day.
Worked out your white meat.
Yes, and we were there, and then we went to Whole Foods.
Whale Foods.
That's the only place that I like going.
I know, it's exhausting.
It's good, though.
Whole Foods stresses me out.
Oh, they have good
I'm
stuff.
sick of it.
Oh, it's so good. I would buy everything in there if I could.
Yeah, and spend $800 on your weekly groceries.
I already did today, it felt like.
Very true.
Thanks, Obama. And then we went to Nev's house to check on her cats. She has 3 cats.
Umpy, Lumpy, and Dumpy.
Larry, Moe, and Curly. Then we came back and we cooked our hearts out. Neveline baked these really delicious lemon bars.
Lemon bar.
First time, first shot, 10 out of 10. She aced it. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah, they
She's a
look
good
delicious.
baker, though. She's a very good baker.
Bouquet.
Yeah. It's impressive when she does that because she did it in my oven, so she's not even like used to it.
That's the
and she did
toughest
such a
thing,
good
dude. It took
job.
me a couple bakes to get used to my new oven.
Yeah, it's weird that she's so good already at that. But while she did that, I made potato salad, which is literally the best potato salad I've ever had in my life. And I honestly pride myself on finding the best recipes online.
Yeah.
I'm very good at that.
Heck yeah.
And I did. Again, I succeeded. So I got that. We walked the dogs for the second time today.
Lovely.
And it was a beautiful day.
Yeah, it was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
Big yawn.
and then we grilled with you.
Yes.
We grilled some burgers and some brats.
I had some
and
sausages. Yeah,
yeah.
they were delicious. I have 2 more. So excited.
We watched some of the Conjuring movie. And now I'm here. I've had a very full, productive good day today.
I'd say so.
My life is great.
That's good.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
But, yeah, so it was good. And after this, I'm going to read a book, and I'm going to watch Black Sails. And if anyone's never watched that show, I highly recommend you watch that show.
I've heard nothing but great things.
It's extremely good. But
one of these days I'll watch it. You guys are watching it. Your mom's watching it. My parents
are watching it.
Yeah.
Everybody. My mom is literally almost to season 4 already. So
Goodness.
she loves it. Yeah.
She watches the show like no other, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that was about it. Today
That's good.
on the docket is a movie that came out in 1991. It's
a favorite
masterpiece. It's a magnum opus.
I'd say so. The movie we're talking about today is called Hook. It is Hook. It's the story of Peter Pan. Came out in 1991. It's a crisp 2 hours and 22 minutes long. It's not streaming anywhere right now, but I did recently buy it on Apple, on like iTunes. It was $7.99. $7.99 for 2.5 hours of laughs. Oh, it's incredible. You want to hit us with a synopsis? This is going to take forever to find, Chadwick.
It shouldn't, because we're pretty good about our messages back and forth from each other. Yeah. Right there.
Perfect.
See that? See what you can do when you try.
Okay. Go ahead and hit me with that synopsis, would you?
The synopsis is when Captain James Hook, played by Dustin Hoffman, kidnaps his children.
That's correct. Keep reading.
An adult Peter Pan, played by Robin Williams, must return to Neverland and reclaim his youthful spirit in order to challenge his old enemy.
Bum, bum, bum.
Good form, Peter.
It's funny. In this movie, Peter Pan, when he's older, he's Robin Williams, and his wife is the mom from Princess Diaries, and she's blonde and hot in this movie. When Peter Pan grows up, his name is Peter Banning, and it's really weird, but it's okay.
He's a businessman.
He's a lawyer, and he does this really gross thing where he like lines up with his coworker and then like grabs his phone.
Like a quick draw.
Oh my gosh, it's so dumb.
Yeah,
it's so like 90s with a cell phone. Some fun facts here for you. When the Bannings fly to the United Kingdom for Christmas, the Pan Am captain's announcement is voiced by Dustin Hoffman. This is a nod to the classic tradition of dual role casting from the original Peter Pan play, wherein Captain Hook and the Darling patriarch, Mr. George Darling, are played by the same actor. That happens in almost every single Peter Pan movie, iteration, anything. The dad and Captain Hook are almost always played by the same person.
Interesting.
It like everything that I can think of. In the one with the Lucius Malfoy plays Captain Hook. I think that one's just called Pan. It's great. You said you haven't seen it?
I don't think so.
It's great. It's crazy. He's like an alcoholic and his hair's all wild. It's really, really good. You should watch it. I loved Peter Pan when I was a kid. We'll get into it more later.
Peter Pan.
This is a fun fact that I've always had an issue with, and I didn't believe until Chase told me. Dame Maggie Smith, being only 56 years old at the time of filming, was aged by makeup to play 92-year-old Granny Wendy.
Maggie Smith is the person that plays Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter, if other people don't know who that person is.
Dame Maggie Smith, they did such a good job with her aging makeup to make her look like she was 92.
She's like Harry Potter.
That nowadays, that she is 92, she looks exactly like that.
True.
So in my brain, forever, she's just been that old forever, and she's always looked like that. I did not believe that they did makeup. I was like, no, that's just how she looks. Nope. She didn't look like that when she was a spry 56. She probably looked 56, but in my brain, she has looked that old forever. It's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't believe it. I thought she was just that old.
Yes.
They did such a good job with her makeup. Holy cow. Robin Williams became best friends with director Steven Spielberg while making this movie. Reportedly, after Williams' death, Spielberg decided to watch this movie out of remembrance, but couldn't finish it because he couldn't stop crying for several hours.
That's sad.
I read that and I thought that was so heartbreaking. This is definitely a movie that like makes me really miss Robin Williams.
Yeah, of course.
This was easily the first Robin Williams like entrant that I'd ever witnessed into my subconscious.
I think mine was Mrs. Doubtfire, but this is definitely a top, like on the same.
Yeah,
playing field.
I watched this years before Mrs. Doubtfire for sure.
I don't know if I did or not. I think
I used to
probably
watch this
watched
all
it
the time
around
when I was a
same
kid.
time.
Holy cow. Gutless, the male bearded pirate who is locked in the boo box with scorpions, was played by none other
Scorpions.
than the incredible Glenn Close. And I was with you the day we found out that Glenn Close played that pirate. We found out at work. It was one day, I think I was working the desk for you, or I was just there shadowing you when I was apprenticing. And we found it out and we lost our minds. It was
Makes sense.
crazy. She does a great job.
She's amazing.
In a long line of roles that were turned down by David Bowie also turned down the role of Captain James Hook. Which is funny because I cannot for the life of me see James Hoffman? Is that his name?
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman. He's James Hook. I cannot see Dustin Hoffman when I look at Captain Hook at all. I can't do
Hoffman
it.
is a great actor.
He is a great actor. I don't hear him. I don't see him. It's just, he's a completely different person. And the last little fun fact here, we mainly focus, there's so many cameos in this movie, it's insane. Phil Collins, who, amongst other things, wrote the soundtrack for Tarzan, which I would say is his magnum opus, because he sang that soundtrack in, I think, 7 different languages. And it's awesome. He plays a police detective that goes to Granny Wendy's house after the kids are kidnapped.
Yeah, it's a brief little cameo.
It's wild. And it's 100% him. And it's so funny. I love him. His voice is very, very recognizable to me.
Yeah, he's the best.
You want to hit us with that part 1, Chadwick?
I can hit you with that Piert one. Peter Banning, formerly Peter Pan, is a busy businessman. That's a weird thing to say.
He's a busy
businessman.
He's busy.
Busyness man. Prioritizing work over family, neglecting promises to his wife and children. He doesn't show up to his son's big game. His big
word is his
baseball game,
bond.
which is funny because he sounds like this guy from The Office with like this awesome like 1990s tape recorder.
No, a big camera, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a assault rifle.
He's
like
got
when
it
he's
on
just-
his shoulder. It is crazy.
It's like, where's your son? I'm gonna shoot him in the head.
Boom!
Yeah, so he does that, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of a sad thing because he's like, he lets his kids down constantly,
And like is so crappy to them at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not like he never really like feels bad.
No.
He's just like, well.
So Wendy adopts children, and that's like her whole thing. So he was an orphan, and so is his wife. They're both orphans, and they were both
Orphans.
adopted. And I would say adopted or fostered by Wendy.
Well, she had
Who's
the
Maggie
orphanage.
Smith,
Yeah,
yeah.
she had the
And-
orphanage where they were at. So they were basically like in her care when they were younger.
Yeah. So anyways, she's receiving an award for like her excellence, let's say. And so they
Her
go
philanthropy.
after 10 years to London to visit her and to like be present and speak at this award ceremony. And they leave their children at home because in the 90s that was fine to do.
Under the watchful
big
eye
deal.
of Toodles.
Of God.
Under the watchful eye of God.
And they're abducted by Captain Hook.
Got
He
the
throws them in a
names.
van, tapes their mouths shut. I'm just kidding. He gets abducted. The children were screaming. And
That
then
is such a disturbing
I
scene.
hate that part. It
The
made me
children were screaming.
Um,
That's so sad.
But yeah, so he's like bumming out, and Tinkerbell, played by Julia Roberts. I hate Julia Roberts.
You hate everybody.
She has a bird face.
Get over it.
Ew.
You just hate
And
beautiful people.
she's Tinkerbell, and she kidnaps Peter, and she brings him to Neverland to help rescue his children.
Gotta
So
bring
she
him back.
grabs him by the scruff of his neck and flies him to Neverland. You can't get there unless you have fairy dust.
Very true.
So you have to fly there, and Peter's kind of, a bitch.
Oh.
He is. He's like afraid of everything.
Do you know
he's the polar opposite of Peter Pan.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because he grew up. He finally grew up and he just lost it.
He got careful.
Yeah. Do you know the directions to Neverland? Second star to the right and straight on till morning.
Nice.
Boop, 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 boop. So cute.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's right where it is.
Duh.
Duh.
When was the first time you watched this movie, man?
I was very young. Excuse me. I was obsessed with Peter Pan when I was a kid. The original animated. We had...
This movie came out before you were even alive.
Amen.
Holy moly.
Before any of us were alive.
That's
any of
not
us
true.
meaning any of the kids in my family.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's not true.
You were born in 1990. You
Yeah.
old ass man. Jane's going to be listening to this and she's going to say, what's an ass man?
Speaking of ages, happy birthday, Jared. He turned 21, the big 2-1.
Today?
No.
When?
Last week, I think.
Gerard!
Yeah.
Happy birthday, King.
And honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Yeah, I watched this when I was a very, very, very young child. I basically was super into Peter Pan. Loved the original Disney animated movie. We had a VHS recording of a stage production of this. Also, a funny fact about Peter Pan. Back in the day, Peter Pan was almost always played by a woman.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. It was a great stage production of it. It was so good. The songs were incredible. It's a musical and it's really, really good. Captain Hook was crazy good. Huge wig, huge eye makeup. He was really funny. His voice was very like this. It was really good. I really, really, really liked that. Oh, it was so good. I also liked it too because it was like I had like a little dress up set of Peter Pan. So I had like the
tights,
the green hat. Funny enough, you should hear my sister talking about tights. My sisters had like a pair of like green tights, and I would steal them and put them on and like dress up as Peter Pan.
We can
all
edit
the
this
time.
out. Don't worry.
No, I'm keeping it in. You think I care?
Okay,
You think I care?
okay,
You think I care? You think I care? You think I
okay.
care? If I can find a photo, if we can find the picture of me in tights, I'll put it on the Instagram. If it's not there, I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty sure
If it's
my
not there,
family
you're
has
lying. It doesn't exist. It didn't happen if you can't prove it.
In vitro. And like I had his little dagger and I had his hat with the red feather. And I love Peter Pan. I watched it all the time when I was a kid. And it was cool because it was like live action Peter Pan.
Right.
It was Robin Williams. He was incredible. So
Our will.
I watched it a lot when I was a kid. When did you first watch it, do you think?
I was pretty young, probably like between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of my dad because I would see stuff like that with my dad a lot. So or at my dad's rather, let's say. I've seen that movie like a trillion times.
Dude, so many times. It's the best.
And I think that like it's weird because over time, it's a lot of things when you're a kid about it are scary.
Oh, yeah.
As you get older, like that movie becomes different genres, like throughout the years of your life, which is kind of cool. And I do think it's like one of those. Well, I feel like all of Robin Williams movies hold up over time. You can watch them when you're a kid typically, and you can watch them as an adult.
100%.
So that's what's cool about those movies. I definitely still think that because there's like a lot of adult
content,
innuendos.
For
there's a lot of jokes, stuff like that you wouldn't understand as a child. You would be entertained by it, but you wouldn't understand it. So I think, and that was big. That was big, like '90s stuff and '80s and '90s stuff. As like, I think they had a little more faith in children's maturity than we do now.
Yeah.
So I think that like they could get away with like Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead, like things like that. They could
much in.
Yeah, it's just like they're fine. It's not a big deal, you know. Yeah, I would say that like it gives me a lot of nostalgic feeling. It gives me a lot of like feel good feeling. I watch that movie like when I want to feel happy.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it's like I have like a nostalgic thing where I'm like I'm flipping through and I'm like, oh yeah, this is on. I'll put this on for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it's definitely one of those movies too. Like when it comes to Peter Pan and the time period it came out.
God bless you.
They did a lot of good, like solid depictions of things that they couldn't really do better now.
Yeah.
The crocodile in that movie is super sweet. It's
So
super nice.
sick.
It's like real looking. It's huge. It moves. Like it's really legit.
So gross.
The room that he has with like clocks that he can break if he's stressed, like
Yeah.
things like that. Like there's like a lot of cool.
The set
things,
design
yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah, the
very
ship is
similar
super cool.
to the like the Muppets Treasure Island.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
With Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
It's a great movie too.
Incredible. Is he still with us?
Yeah, he had a stroke though, so he's like paralyzed and in a wheelchair.
He's having a tough time.
But he still is like he's still kicking.
From what I remember, he like still signs stuff.
Yeah.
He's still he's doing great.
yeah.
Oh, king.
That's
Gonna hurt like a son
poor
of a bitch.
guy. But yeah. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that adults in Peter Pan's universe or Neverland are always portrayed as pirates specifically, and what do you feel the symbolic aspect of that is?
So I think it's just kind of like, when you're kids, you see adults sometimes as like just these big, scary people that are like, loud and yelling and kind of like against you almost. And you're just trying to have fun. You're trying to have a good time. And they're just trying to kind of like shut it down. And, sometimes I think, with kids, they can fantasize and, make everything a little bigger than it actually is. And I think, for a kid in that time, like, a big scary adult, they're a pirate. They're always yelling and like kind of, scary. So I think for something like that, it makes sense because Neverland is an island, so there would be pirates around there. And I think it's just like a kid's like attempt to reason with this larger than life authority that they've had placed in their lives. That's kind of how I see it. What do you think?
I think, this is going to also, I've been watching Black Sails a lot.
You're up on your pirate stuff.
My thing is like, I've been watching a show where you see like the lifestyle of a pirate quite a bit. I think it's like a pirate represents your standard adult when you like break it down in the sense of like a pirate is aimless. A pirate is lost. They have lost their decency. They've lost their morality. They've lost who they are as a person. They have a vagabond lifestyle. They literally like are lost at sea.
Yeah.
They are going from port to port. It's a lonely lifestyle. They're wanderers. Like, and I think most adults are wanderers. Most adults have no sense of self.
Yeah.
Most adults feel lost. Most adults don't know what they want to do with their lives. Most of them think that they made the wrong decisions. Most of them are that way. And on top of that, most pirates were former slaves. I think that's another thing is like adults, like you're like I always joke to you, but like you're a slave to the rules that you live by.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing as like an adult. Like you are trapped. So I think like a pirate, you could say that the pirate would represent like a scary authoritative figure, but they're not really like an authority over the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
They're just a rival. But what they represent to me is like a lost sense of self.
Okay.
They don't have any happiness. Everything is selfish. Everything is short-sighted. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So like I think that's to me what I would think.
Okay. I respect it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
You're doing part 2, right? Yeah.
Yes, I am, Bumblebee. Back into the story here. So in Neverland, Peter struggles to regain his identity and abilities as Peter Pan. So he comes back to Neverland. He meets up with the Lost Boys. He can't fly. He
can't crow.
He can't crow. He can't fight. Learn to fight, learn to fly, learn to crow. Those are his 3 things that he has to figure out. And he is having a hard time with all of them. He's been a lawyer for years. He's a father of 2. He's married. He can't, like, put away such things and be back to his frivolous self.
Right.
So the Lost Boys, led by Rufio, help Peter to prepare to confront Hook. So basically, they have to help him. I think he ends up Peter confronts Hook and is like, "Give me my kids back." And Hook is like, "What is this like shriveled thing in front of me? This is not Peter Pan. This is not like the battle that I've been waiting for. I'm going to give you 3 days. You have 3 days to basically get back to where you were, and we're going to have the battle of the century, and we're going to figure
In the
this
spirit
out."
of good form.
In the spirit of good form. Basically, they gave him these 3 days to learn how to be Peter Pan again. So all the Lost Boys are helping him. The Lost Boys have this new leader. His name is Rufio, and Rufio is played by Dante Bosco, who is an incredible actor. One of his, I would say, his magnum opus is the voice actor for Prince Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He is an incredible voice actor. He's done a lot. He's been in so many movies and TV shows and voice acting gigs and stuff. He's incredible. Love him. Very recognizable voice always. But he plays Rufio. And when I was a kid, I did not really want to be Peter Pan after I watched this movie. I wanted to be Rufio.
Yeah, Rufio is awesome.
Dude, to the point where still to this day, I think at one point in time, I'm going to get the word Bangarang tattooed on my body. I wanted it over my eyebrows so long.
I think you should do Bangarang Peter.
Just Bangarang.
Bangarang Peter! They get so excited for Peter.
Yeah, dude. No, I love, Bangarang is like their like Lost Boys.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Hoorah. But yeah, so it's funny because Rufio is like, I'm the leader. I have your sword. Like, I'm not like giving this up to you. Who are you? Like, you're nobody.
Yeah.
So he's a little apprehensive to help Peter because he sees him too, and he's like, "Who are you? You are nobody.
Right.
Like, you are not this person that we assumed and knew you to be all those years ago." So it's definitely a tricky point where like I think the first day he ends up like going back to his little nest and he's like sore as can be. He's like an old dude, man. He can't do this stuff. He can't fly around. He can't do anything anymore. It's pretty tough. While Peter is working on that and trying to become Peter Pan again to save his children. Why is this being so dumb? Hook, on the other hand, is attempting to make Jack forget Peter and embrace himself, Hook, as a father figure.
To get back at Peter.
To really just try to like 360
Drive
ruin
that
this
knife
dude's
into
life.
his side,
Absolutely. So he ends up like they put together like a baseball game for Jack that they all go to. Jack wins. He's like trying to convince him that like his dad never truly loved him and like didn't obviously go to his games and stuff, and takes him to the clock room and lets him smash the clocks because he's angry about his dad. And Jack really kind of falls for it a little bit, and he falls away from his true way for a bit, which Maggie, the little baby girl, she has no time for that. She's like, F you.
Never forget Jack. Bah! Yeah, she's got a really
whiny
gross voice.
Yeah, dude, so much.
Yeah.
So basically,
I wonder what she's doing nowadays.
Pull her up.
I'll pull her up on the teleprompter.
Pull her up on the internet machine you have there. Basically, throughout all of this struggle and stuff, Peter finally like regains his ability to fly, fight, and crow. And really, all of his happy memories are just like his kids when they're younger, and like really trying to just like be a dad for them. And it really brings him joy. And he realizes that he loves his kids so much, and he needs to rescue them. And the only way to do that is to really kind of.
Okay, she's only been in 2 movies, or no, she's been in 1 movie in her whole life, which was Hook, and then a different show. She's been a voice actor in a show.
What show?
American Experience.
Never heard of it.
It was a series in 1987.
My gosh.
But she played the voice actor in 1995, and then she fell off the face of the earth. So,
good for her.
She looks fine.
Oh, wow.
She looks fine.
She
looks normal.
Hottie bo body.
She looks normal.
But yeah. Peter learns how to be Peter Pan again and then goes and beats Peter Pan. What are you looking at now? Oh, she's such a babe.
I'm just looking at these actors. Ew.
Who? He looks exactly the same.
He does.
Show the
He
camera.
looks nice.
Show the camera.
This is Jack, his son.
It's still trying to track you and not the phone.
There,
There
we
he is.
got it. Yeah, he looking okay.
He looking okay.
You know what I mean? He's in the Canada U.S. Law Institute.
Oy vey.
I don't know. He went to law school. Good for him.
Yeah, he learned to be a lawyer. That's
Like
actually
his
one
dad.
that's one of the fun facts that I didn't mention, that the actor who played Jack then becomes a lawyer, which is funny. He was like, all right, enough of this silly acting nonsense.
Yeah, dude.
Chadwick, what childhood age, if you had to remain that age forever, would you choose?
8
and
years
why?
old.
8 years old. Tell me about it.
I would say 8. 8 is like a good age for me because I feel like I still have like, I'm not afraid of anything. I would not have a lot of friends, but I wouldn't need to have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I could still play with my toys and it not be weird.
for sure.
You know what I mean? I would be in a good like school age. Like you would do like a lot of field trips and fun things. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have to worry about like anything.
Yeah.
I had a good childhood. So like I feel like I feel like I wouldn't have to. I think 8 is like a sweet spot for me. You can go up north, go to a cottage, you can go tubing, vacations.
You're literally bulletproof.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
nothing can hurt an 8-year-old.
I would say 8.
That's sick.
That's for me. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
What about you?
I would say 10. Because right when I turned 10, like the double digit thing like really hit me hard. It's around 5th grade. It's right when I broke my arm on a Razor scooter. It was a nightmare.
That's fair.
I think very similar to the things like I can still like, play with toys, really get into stuff. I was just like, I think when I was 10, that's when I was really kind of like finding my stride with like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and all the like really fun stuff that I used to do when I was a kid. I just like loved being a little boy. Like,
it was great.
Like all of like the geeky nerdy stuff that I'm into now.
Cap guns.
Oh, you ever go to Joe's Army Navy and get a cap gun?
Yeah, of course.
Girl.
I had the cowboy cap guns because I was really in John Wayne.
Did you have the
movies when I was a
rings?
kid.
The ring
Yeah.
caps?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I had the rings and the paper ones.
yeah, so
The
we
little
always had the
roll.
paper
Yeah,
ones, like the
yeah.
flintlock
Yeah.
pistols and the rifles. I thought those were so cool.
Yeah.
My parents would never buy them for me because we were poor. But I lived vicariously through my friend Cam, who lived down the street. Killa Cam.
Yeah.
He would always get them, and we'd go to like Joe's Army Navy, and I would just like play with them and stuff. And I'd beg and plead my parents, and they would never say yes.
No, I had a lot of cowboy guns, so I had 6 shooters. So they had the plastic, like speed loaders, if you will.
The speed loader rings.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid and I saw the first Mummy movie. I loved revolvers, and I was like all about revolvers.
Yeah,
because
he
Rick
does.
O'Connell has two
He has the
revolvers.
short revolvers that are sweet.
Yeah, so
they're
he has
not
those
quite
revolvers.
snub-nosed, but they're not combat.
They're
Yeah,
a
they're
nice
perfect.
medium.
Yeah, they're compact.
And
Yeah.
then the second movie came out, and he had those Colts.
Yeah.
Like the semi-automatics. And
Yeah,
I
the
hated
1911s,
them. And I was
yeah.
like, absolutely not.
Yeah, dude.
No, you have to have revolvers. I hated those guns for so long. I still have like a weird thing against 1911s. I don't
love
like them.
Oh, they're sweet.
Ugh, they shoot like glass, baby. Like smooth as can be.
All metal frame. Yeah.
God bless. But yeah, dude, I remember like I think 10 years old. That's when that's kind of when I started like shifting into like guns and swords and like really cool stuff like that. And I was just like super into it all. And I really
Renaissance Festival when you were a kid.
I never went when I was a kid.
Oh, my
That's
mom
a
took us
whole
a lot.
lie. I went when I was a kid.
Yeah, my mom would take us.
My parents had a friend who was playing like an Esmeralda character.
Yeah.
So she had like a corset and she was
Ugh, that's inappropriate.
brimming over. And me and my child mind, I have no idea still to this day why I did this. But I was just sitting there. She kind of like kneeled down. She's like, "Hi, Ben. I'm so-and-so. I'm your parents' friend." Without even thinking, I went elbow deep into her cleavage.
Like,
and my parents freaked out. They're like, "What are you doing?" And like grabbed me
You're
off
like, what
her.
do we got in here?
I still have no idea why I did it, but I just went to town.
Checking her for coins.
Yeah, I just had to make sure there was nothing down there that
get
was
it.
like needed to be like assessed.
I totally like that.
But I checked her for lumps. She was clean. Everything is good. And today on the he's going around the other side. He wants to come over to see Uncle Ben.
No, he's in the closet now. Like,
Oh,
like
baby.
R. Kelly.
Trapped in a
Yikes.
closet. Ew.
Um, So
But yeah, Renaissance Festival. It's just like it's a great time to be a kid. 10 years old, dude. Ugh.
I had one of those wood swords and those wood
From the Renaissance Festival.
shields, and mine had like it was like a demon monster thing
Oh.
with horns. And it was like My mom got it for me. It was awesome. It was
I had one of those swords.
Anthony and I would
for sure.
spar
Oh,
quite
for
a
sure.
bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, me and my friend Cam would do that all the time because that's when I was getting into Lord of the Rings and we would make bows and swords and stuff.
Yeah.
Because Cam's dad would always buy him like arrows and we'd make bows out of PVC pipe and it was great.
Go ahead, Yankee. There's a Sharpay over here, everyone.
I'm giving him pets. I'm petting his big old head.
Should we go on to part 3?
I think so. I think
Part
we've
3?
rounded out part 2 wonderfully.
All right, let's do it. Part 3, Peter leads a battle against Hook, ultimately sparing his life at his children's request.
He wanted to kill him, but he didn't.
His daughter feels bad because he doesn't have a mommy.
Honestly.
And he is kind of a cheap shot, fighter, Captain Hook, because he's got
Yeah, dude. He cuts Pan's arm with his
he's got a
hook.
wig on, and he's got a brassiere. That he's got a.
It's
girdle.
not a brassiere; it's a girdle.
He's feeling old. Anyways, and that's another thing though is when so they're fighting with the swords, and Peter basically cuts everything off of him that's superficial. So his wig, his fancy clothes, he's got buckle shoes, he's got all these
his
really
buckle
nice
shoes.
Yeah. But basically, what you see him as then is this you see him as who he is.
Yeah.
Right. So again, a lost, upset adult.
Very much so.
A shell of what he used to be as a child. Hook meets his demise when he is accidentally eaten by a resurrected crocodile.
I'm receiving a phone call. Casey, I'll call you back later.
Peter returns home with his family.
Wait,
leaving
say
a lost
what
boy
happened.
in
I cut you
charge
off in the
of
middle of it.
Neverland.
Tell us the middle one again. I was going to answer it, and then I decided against it. Tell us the middle one again. What did
Hook meets his demise, and he is accidentally eaten by a resurrected crocodile.
So the resurrected crocodile, it's like this huge tower clock. Is there a clock in his mouth? Yeah. Yeah, it's this huge clock. Oh. No, there's the Aurora Borealis right now.
In Hazel Park.
Pause
Michigan.
really quick. We have to see.
And we're back.
So sorry about that.
Shout out to Casey for wasting our time and interrupting our podcast.
Relax. The Aurora Borealis is happening right now. We can't see it because we're in Detroit Heights and there's so much light pollution. Casey, living out in the boondocks where there's no electricity even. This is what he's seeing right now. I don't know how to work this damn thing.
Oh, you can see it.
Crazy. So cool. Thanks, Casey. Kinda. But yeah, there's a giant alligator clock. It's really cool. It falls on him and eats him alive.
Peter returns home with his family, leaving a lost boy in charge of Neverland.
Which Lost Boy is it?
I'm not going to tell them.
You got to watch the movie to see. I
not
always
gonna tell
forget it. Then I watch the movie and then I'm like, oh yeah.
And it's not Rufio because he gets killed. So,
Dude, Rufio does get killed, which is so bold. They killed a
Captain Hook
child
kills
on
a child.
screen. Quick, too.
he's like an older kid.
He
so
go-
it's fine. He just pierces his heart.
Pierce.
His little Rufus heart. His Morpheus heart.
His Morpheus heart. Crazy. Crazy.
All right, first question.
Let's hear it.
First out of the last questions. What important childhood values and characteristics do most adults lose or grow out of that they shouldn't?
I definitely think there is a feeling of just honesty that kids have. It's kind of not having a filter, but also being every adult that I talk to is my friend, so I'm just going to tell them exactly how I feel. And they just are a lot more transparent, which is really nice. I feel like nobody does that anymore. People only say what they think other people want to hear. They act how they think other people want them to act. And when you're a kid, you're I think this is cool, so I'm into it and I'm about it. And it's I don't want to say selfish, but it's really self-aware. And it's yeah, this is what I'm about, dude. Dinosaurs and robots are so sick and they should fight and it looks cool. And it's just I think kids are just very open and honest. Whereas I think the older you get, the more closed off you get and the more reserved. And you're oh, I don't want to do that. Casey, girl Casey today posted something on Instagram where she's I've recently been listening to my inner weird child and just trying to impress and love on her. And that's very true. You just want when you're a kid, you're just I don't know, so much cooler than adults, which is funny because I don't like kids, but they got a lot of it figured out, I think. What about you?
I think children have a sense of wonder that adults don't have.
Mm.
Nothing is exciting. Nothing is new. Nothing is amazing to an adult.
Yeah, like the Aurora Borealis. You don't even care.
I didn't see any of it.
It's a little pink over there.
It's not. And
You don't know how to fight fly or crow.
Well, yeah. So I think that most adults don't have like a sense of wonder, and they don't have a curiosity about them.
Yeah.
I think children are curious. You know, so I think most of the time, like, everything is exciting. There's like this thing I was listening to a long time ago that I always think about. I was listening to a podcast, and this guest was talking about how like my dad lives in Clarkston, so he lives in the woods, and we would always go into the woods, and like it's a vast terrain. I mean, like, there's like so much. It's huge. And you're like 8, you know, so you're like going through the woods, building forts, never getting lost, you know, because as a child, like, you will pay attention. So you'll be like, okay, well, like, when we get to the tree that has like this weird knot in the side of it that has like, you know, that looks kind of weird, we're going to go this way.
Yeah.
And then when we get to like that lake that like has that weird rock that's like sitting there, you know what I mean? Like that weird stack of rocks that we might have made, you know, or whatever, we're going to go over here. And you could tell somebody exactly what everything looks like.
Yeah.
Because you are present. You don't have anxiety. You don't have a past to think about yet.
Yeah.
And you don't have an anticipated future because you don't have experience yet. So you are fully in an emptiness. Like, you don't have any kind of, like, you have no hang up, right? So, but now, on the other side of the coin, if you could tell me what every house on your block looks like right now, I would be pretty surprised.
Yeah.
Right? I would be pretty surprised if you could tell me what any trees in your neighborhood look like, right? Because you just don't care, right? Like, as an adult, there's bigger fish to fry. Your brain doesn't process it the same way because, like, it's not a threat. It's not something that's important to you. So, like, you don't think about it. And I don't think when he said that to me, I consciously now, when I'm walking the dogs and stuff, I try to look up. I try to, like, take it all in.
Yeah.
I try to remember, like, certain things because I'm like, yeah, like, that's like, there's no reason to not be like that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like this cool, like, poem. I'm going to butcher it, but it's like of geese flying over a lake, and it's like the geese have no intention of casting the reflection onto the water, and the water has no mind to retain its image. There's nothing, right? Like, they're just doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't have like a thought of like what's going on. There's no hang up, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just drifting through. You know what I mean? So that's, I think, what a kid would be like, is like, you're just living your life.
Yeah.
You're just going. You're building a fort in your head. You're a cowboy. You've got a horse. You're ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing else there. That's why I think 8 years old for me is like a good one. Because again, you just have no hang up.
Yeah.
There's nothing. You fear things, but you fear rational things. You don't fear irrational things. You don't fear things that could happen or have happened yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's something that I would say is like a sense of wonder, a sense of curiosity, a sense of like being able to like inhabit a role with emptiness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And love. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's impossible, it feels like, as an adult. A lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that.
Last.
Yep. Last
That was
question.
the last question. This kind of piggybacks. Do you think there are any consequences that come with children today not being able to use their imaginations as much due to tech and social media? What I'm getting at is, like, when I was a kid, my parents would be like, you have to stay outside.
Yeah.
You're not coming in until dinner time. My dad would do that all the time because, again, he lived on a lake and like woods and all stuff. So he would do that. and what would end up happening just inevitably is you would make neighborhood friends.
Yeah.
Because you had to. You would get in trouble. You'd get in the woods. You'd swim in the swim holes. You'd find a friend that had a boat. You'd find a friend that was having a bonfire that night, right? Like you would have bike rides late with your friends. You'd bike all over the place during the day. You would have lemonade stands. You would have you know what I'm saying? So you would actually learn a lot of valuable skills that you would take into the adult world, really. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by that. So what do you think as far as that goes?
I do agree with that. I think when I was a kid, I was just I was so much more imaginative. And it's funny because kids nowadays, I could apply this to me. When I was a kid, I would read books like they were going out of style. I could read a book in a day. I loved reading. All I had when I was younger was reading. I never had video games. I never did anything else. I would just read all the time. And my imagination could paint such pictures of what was going on in these pages. And it was so great. I was so creative. I was always drawing when I was a kid. I was coming up with armor and swords and drawing everything. I was so much more creative when I was a kid. And within the past 10 years, I've kind of realized that all of my imagination and all my creativity went from this beautiful creative thing into anxiety and worry. And now my brain is almost fighting against me, turning all these fun scenarios that I used to play out as a kid are now all of these horrible scenarios where I'm just oh, well, this could happen, and this is what other people think of me and all this stuff, and it's just my imagination has turned on me.
Sure.
Which I do think is just, from the years of instant gratification. One of my favorite things to do in the world is just sit on TikTok for hours, and that's just excuse me, I'm not even really absorbing what I'm seeing. I'm just flipping through it, and it's not good. And nowadays when I try to pick up a book, I still really enjoy audiobooks and I still listen to audiobooks all the time, but I have such a hard time reading. Even one of my favorite books that I have it in a physical copy. I laid down and tried to read it a couple nights ago. I got 9 pages in and I couldn't do it anymore. I was just I really don't have the attention span for it. I did, I sat down and read all of Attack on Titan, all of the graphic novels. I think there's 36 or 38 volumes. So I was able to sit down and I read those in a week or two. I just went to town, and that was really captivating and really interesting. But I just have such a hard time now. I can personally say, yeah, my imagination is gone because of social media and tech and everything. My attention span, my imagination, my creativity, it's just all gone.
Yeah.
And the little bits that are still there are just horrific.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so tough. I feel that. I know you kind of said what you said, but do you have any closing thoughts about that?
Yeah. So my thing is that I think that what I've thought about for a while is that I think that there is a mistake, there is a misconception about boredom. That over the years, I think we have, we fill the gap. You never have a moment of boredom. When you do, you get on your phone.
Yeah.
You can't be bored.
Yeah.
You can't be. But the problem is there's benefits of being bored.
Mm-hmm.
If an EMP dropped right now and there was no internet and no electricity, what would you do? You would have to read.
I'd pick that book.
You would have to paint.
Yeah.
You would have to draw. You would have to build. You'd have to create things. You'd have to work out. You'd have to do things. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's what I'm in. Boredom is bad, but in moderation, just like anything else, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
I think that people should be bored sometimes. I think people should allow themselves to be bored and to try to deter themselves from using that crutch just to fill the boredom.
Yeah.
Instead of filling the boredom, find something to do.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of great men and women and great creations, great inventions were made out of boredom. Mm-hmm. They were bored. There was nothing to do. Let's fiddle around. Let's fiddle around with these things. This is, this radio works really well. Let's see if we can make it work better.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to do, right? To me, I think that we're in a society, especially like in this country, where boredom is an enemy. It is made to be filled. People shouldn't ever be stagnant and sitting around. I think there is a benefit to sitting around. I think there is a benefit to having idle hands for a minute, because you have to. I think the natural human thing is like when you have nothing to do, you'll be the best because you have to find something to do. You know what I mean? So I think that is something that I would add to that. I think kids aren't bored enough. I think they need to be bored. You need to, when the parent says, when you were a little kid, when your parents are like, you have to stay outside for 3 hours.
Yeah.
We didn't have cell phones back then, you know. It was boring for a minute.
Yeah.
And then with my brother, I'm like, well, fuck. Do you want to build a fort?
Yeah.
Do you want to play paintball?
Something? Yeah.
Do you want to go in the water? Like, what do you want to do? And then we'd have a blast.
Yep.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But of course, initially, there's nothing to do. You have to make something to do. You have to figure it out. You have to come up with a game. You have to come up with something. You know what I mean? You have to come up with something. You have to create something.
Yeah.
You know, and humans, I think, are the happiest when they're creating. That's like what a human is supposed to do, I think. So I think that that's my closing statement. I think people should
support it.
People that are listening, I think you should challenge yourselves to be bored. To try to actually be bored. Sit outside and just be bored. Sit in your back room. I have a huge table back here. I'm going to paint and have a birthday card this week. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to think about her. She knows that. I'm going to teach her how to paint this week.
Aww.
But I'm going to sit back here and I'm going to think about what I want to paint until I get bored enough to decide whether I'm going to create this or that, and I'm going to make something cool. You just have to like challenge yourself to be bored and to allow yourself to think of things that you can create. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Golly gee.
Now it's TPT.
Well, almost. Almost.
I'm just kidding. I do have a question.
Yeah.
Drama one.
In honor of Mother's Day happening in a couple days, we have a question from the one and only.
Oops.
Linda, what are you doing? Linda? You got to find it again, young man.
It won't take long.
We have a question from the one and only. Oh, I'm reading it to you, eh?
Well, you can do it on the thing.
Oh, it's the voice. It's a voice thing.
One, so you might I think you got to turn it all the way up and then do it like that. Question.
Here we go. Let's hope this works. All right, we're going to try it out. I don't really know how tech works, so let's see how it goes.
Hi, Chase and Ben. This is Deirdre. Longtime listener, first-time caller. I'm also known to somebody else there by Mom. And
Ben.
my question to you is,
Both of us.
can you name the best antagonist, male and female, of any movie you ever saw?
Movie?
Yeah, movie.
Have a great night, guys. Love you both.
Oh, love you too, Deirdre. Greatest antagonist, male and female.
Okay.
That's hard. I was hoping she was going to say male or female.
Antagonist.
Yeah. That is very tough because there's a lot of really, really great ones out there. Oh, TPT, baby. We got 10 minutes. Go. I have a couple male ones right off the top of my head, and then I have one female one that I'm trying to get a better one, but I think I really only have the one.
Okay. I have a few male ones, but I'm trying to also figure out. I have a few female ones in mind, but I'm also trying to figure that out. Give me like 2 seconds.
Well, I'm going to start off then really quick here. Some of my favorite antagonists, male. From a very young age, I was a very huge fan of Star Wars, of course, and one of the most recognizable and one of the scariest characters, I think, when we're all really young is, of course, Darth Vader. He is so big, he's so tall, he's so menacing, he's so dark, he's just so frightening. I think he's a great antagonist because I think a great antagonist comes from a lot of like strife and conflict and like personal kind of just tragedy, and I think Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, really embodies that perfectly. Another antagonist that I really, really like is Moriarty in specifically the BBC's Sherlock.
Yeah.
Played
With
by
Benedict Cumberbatch.
With Benedict Cumberbatch, played by Andrew Scott. He is incredible. He is just a villain for villain's sake. Very similar to the Joker. Like, he is just like, I am going to do everything I can to be against you, and there's nothing you can do to stop me, and I am always going to be a couple steps ahead of you. And he is just an incredible actor, an incredible antagonist, really, really keeps somebody who is generally 100% chill on their toes and does just a great job at it. Andrew Scott is one of my favorite actors for sure, and he just does an incredible job portraying that antagonist there.
Okay.
And then for a female antagonist, really the only one that I can think of coming to mind recently, which is kind of funny, is from Thor Ragnarok. There is an antagonist. Her name is Hela.
Isn't she played by
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
She is a bad bitch. Like,
Isn't she what is her name?
Hela.
Isn't she his sister or something?
Yeah.
And she's all black, right?
Yeah. She has like black hair, black armor. She basically was Odin's first child. And she was like screwed out of the inheritance because he had Thor and Loki. And she is just like has a chip on her shoulder. And she basically, like, one of the first scenes you see her at, she shows up. Thor throws his hammer Mjolnir at her. She grabs it with one hand and just crushes it. And like, no problem at all. And it's crazy. Now that I'm thinking about it, I love her to death. Not necessarily an antagonist. And if anyone has seen this movie, chime in the comments. There's a new movie out called Challengers right now. I think Zendaya's character is a pretty crazy antagonist. You got to watch the movie. I can't remember her name right now. It's like Trish or something. I can't remember. Watch the movie Challengers. It's incredible. And she is wild in that movie. Let's hear what you have to say, Chadwick. Hit us.
Okay. I have a few male ones. My first one is going to be, of course, mine is going to be from my favorite movie, which is Francisco Scaramanga, which
Incredible.
is played by, obviously, Sir Christopher Lee. Rest in power.
The person who James Bond was based off of.
Yes. He's a fantastic villain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bond has some of the greatest villains.
My two that are really close to that, though, to me, the first is going to be Anton, who is Javier Bardem's character in No Country for Old
You're
Men.
so right. You're so right.
I hate him, but I love him. Like,
He's an
so
incredible
good.
character,
Yeah, he's just so good.
Yeah.
I feel like he just he is just like something else. Like,
really
I just
is.
I
Incredible
can't
movie.
stand
Everyone
it.
should watch it.
Yeah, he's a good one for sure. Highly recommend that movie.
For
Like,
sure.
So legit.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. And then my other one, well, this is a show, I guess,
Yeah, that's fine.
would be Mads Mikkelsen's Hannibal. Like him as Hannibal Lecter. He is so good as Hannibal
I need to
Lecter.
watch that
It's
show
a great
more.
show.
It's just
Yeah.
too scaly for me.
It's good.
I
He's
can't
such
do
a good
it.
Hannibal Lecter. Anthony Hopkins is great too, though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You have a female?
for female, the first one that came to mind, honestly, is Miss Trunchbull from Matilda.
Yo!
Honestly.
Yeah.
But my other one is probably Starina from Men in Black 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you said Starina, and I was like,
Yeah.
Miss Albert's character?
No.
The great Starina. Dang. No, she's bad
Cool too. But yeah, Trunchbull for sure, because she's just like,
Trunchbull,
when I was a kid,
dude.
she scared the crap out of me. She's
Understandable.
so
The
gross.
Chokey was so gross.
I know.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. And she had her
Dang.
like bag of like those iron balls.
Olympic.
And, like, yeah. Like, oh,
Olympic.
God,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was just gross. With the cake and like, it was just gross to me. Like,
That's
it
a
was
new
just,
trend on TikTok right now. Everyone's making Bruce cakes. They just
Yeah.
call them Bruce cakes. So these giant like devil's food layer cakes with like really just like opulent frosting and stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny. We should make that.
I looked because I was like, what other female antagonists are there? The top one that's voted is Bellatrix,
yeah.
which makes sense for sure. Because
Yeah.
like there's like Maleficent.
For sure, she's hot.
Annie Wilkes, which is Kathy Bates' character in Misery.
Ew, I've
That's
never seen
like,
that movie, but
oh.
I know exactly what happens.
And then Bellatrix Lestrange.
Lestrange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Cruella de Vil is another one, you know. The female one is tricky. Dolores Umbridge, another one that's like really great.
Her middle name is Jane, and my sister Jane hates
Regina
that film.
George.
She's not a villain. Relax.
She's an antagonist. Yeah.
Whatever.
Pamela Voorhees, Jason Voorhees' mom. Mystique, they say, as one, but I don't see her as one.
She's awesome, but I don't
She
see her
is
as a villain
awesome.
or an antagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's dope.
But yeah, it was kind of
Female
funny.
antagonist is tough. There's not a lot.
Number one most evil female one is Annie Wilkes,
Yeah.
which is like
that makes
yeah.
sense. I support that.
That's a Stephen King movie.
Heck yeah.
It's really
your
good.
favorite.
Ew, that movie's James Caan is in that. He passed away too. But
R.I.P. and Power King.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say that for sure. But Anton is a serious
Dude,
antagonist.
he's so
Yeah.
gross. Ugh. That's such a good
It's
movie.
so weird how uncomfortable he makes you feel.
Seriously.
Like in the movie.
Even in the first scene that he's in, just his
It's-
face, dude.
oh.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Any
Good
lasting incredible question. Thank
Mom,
you
I
so
love you.
much. Mom, I love you. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.
Cool,
Take
keep-
care. Brush your hair.
Good evening, good morning, good night.
Bye.
Is that all you have? You don't have nothing else to
What
leave the
other
children?
movie? What are we doing next?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what
I
we're doing
don't know,
next,
actually.
kids. Oh, for goodness sakes. I'm so over this. Let's see. I gotta go to my favorites. There's the list. Ooh, next one is one that I have never seen. It is a movie called Repo Men.
Oh yeah, with Jude Law and Forrest
Yeah.
Whitaker.
Forrest.
It's a great movie. It's sci-fi,
excited.
sci-fi thriller.
coming up
RZA
next.
from Wu-Tang Clan is in it briefly too.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to F with.
Yes, you're right.
The most known unknown.
Yes.
With that, everybody, watch Hook. It's incredible. It's my childhood. Watch Repo Men so you can not be spoiled. I need to watch it. We should watch it this week
Yeah, it's a great movie.
before you abandon me on vacation.
Don't say where I'm going. I don't want fans to follow me there.
They're going to be staying at the Roosevelt Hotel, room 605. Go say hi.
At Lake Minnetonka.
Minnetonka. Great job. Boom, 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 boom.
Bye.
Bye.